All right, we should be live for another day of Parliament and so on and so forth. Specifically, question period. I'm going to throw on the CTV power play real quick while I set everything else up. They are discussing the US to Canada ambassador Pete Hoekstra. Pete Hoekstra, I believe his name is. Probably butchering it. I also don't fully remember if that's his name or not. Apparently, they got him and a conservative minister got into a bit of a heated discussion. Apparently, a couple F-bombs may have been dropped. So let's see what happens here. Also, the Ronald Reagan ad. A lot of things with that as well. The entire situation between US and Canada, the relationship just continues to get worse.
Come on, Ambassador. He's a guy. You know something? I like him. Pete, you got to call Dave up and apologize. It's simple. You know, the cheese slipped off the cracker. I get it. You're ticked off. But call the guy up because you're a good guy, and Dave's my champion. The guy is just instrumental in these trade deals down in Washington. And, you know, something people get hot. They get heated. I get heated sometimes. But just call the guy up and bury the hatchet. Because the ambassador's a good guy, actually. I love Dave. I like the ambassador, so he knows what to do.
Ontario Premier Doug Ford wants U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra to apologize to his D.C. Representative David Paterson. It's all stemming from an altercation at a private event earlier this week where sources confirmed the American ambassador ripped into Paterson with trade tensions on high after Trump terminated trade talks over the Ontario Premier's use of Ronald Reagan footage in an anti-tariff ad. Here's how that all played out on the Hill today.
Well, diplomacy doesn't usually involve insulting others. Hopefully this points to both sides being frustrated and both sides wanting a deal and getting it done. And I'm sure we've all said things under our breath that we've regretted later, especially when tensions are this high.
He's entitled to his opinion. I would say maybe it indicates it was a pretty effective ad.
I didn't catch what he said, but it obviously did hit a nerve.
Okay, the ad wasn't effective. It ended the trade talks. That's not effective. It's just making the situation worse. Thousands of jobs already leaving the country. My God, literally an oil refinery in BC? Hold on, let me pull up this article right now and let me see. BC oil refinery. Right here. Right here, we're talking about how awesome this Ronald Reagan ad was. Oh, guys, things are so great. This Burnaby, BC oil refinery to fall under U.S. control in $9.1 billion deal. That right there is what your Ronald Reagan ad has got you. Company after company falling to the United States, going to the United States. Why would companies want to deal with a government that literally 1 week after another makes the dumbest bloody decisions I have ever seen and then praises themselves for it? Oh, that ad must have been pretty effective. Yeah, there's your ad for you. That's what you get. That's literally what you get. These people are utterly brain dead. Utterly brain dead. Every other week, I want to say almost every day it feels like a company has shut down or it's going to the United States or something of that nature. And the government is praising the Ronald Reagan ad that has made things worse. I can't stress this enough. Canada has dug itself into a grave and we just continue to keep digging deeper and deeper. And my God, when are we going to stop? Probably never. Probably never, when we have ministers like this. Hold on, let me go back.
To his opinion.
That we've regretted later, especially when tensions are this high.
He's entitled to his opinion. I would say maybe it indicates it was a pretty effective ad.
Oh, yeah. There you go. There you go. Congratulations.
I didn't catch what he said, but it obviously did hit a nerve with some in the United States. I would caution everyone to be sober-minded, and there's a lot at stake.
What do you think? Diplomatic behavior? Your grandmother told you not to use the F word, right?
The front bench is back to talk about this. Laura D'Angelo, Jamie Ellerton, Sebastian Skamsky, and Sharon Carr. Laura, I'll start with you. It is pretty heated, and it appears to even make its way out of the public domain into private events. How big of a deal do you think that is?
I think that the ambassador is taking his perceived role in the negotiations a little too seriously. By all accounts, he is not in the room. He is not involved in these negotiations. And I do think he had a particular audience with those comments. And I'm not actually sure that it was Dave. I think the audience was an audience of one. I think it was President Trump. I think the ambassador really wants to be sure that the president thinks he's doing a good job. But to your point, things are getting very heated. And if that's what he thinks the president is going to react well to, we should be concerned about how high tensions are with the negotiations right now.
What does this series of events, Jamie, tell you?
That the ambassador can't control his emotions and can't control how he conducts himself. You would think the ambassador, the head of the diplomatic mission, would be a little more better briefed on how to conduct himself in protocol in going about his diplomacy. And I think you kind of heard Charles Sousa poke at the need to be sober-minded. And perhaps he got into the cellar of California wine or the Pappy Van Wiggles bourbon before he went to this thing, because the only place he can get it right now in Ottawa is probably at his own ambassador's residence, because the LCBO is not selling the stuff. So this is clearly just like a hothead. I think when you look at what the ambassador is doing, to Laura's point, it doesn't seem like he actually is a meaningful player in any of this. And he essentially got a patronage appointment, thank you, from the president to be here. And we all have to put up with him for as long as that lasts.
So I gotta be completely honest. When it comes to this situation here, it's a lot of hearsay. It's a lot of he said, she said, right? So if the ambassador did say this, then you know what? Things are clearly heated. Things are clearly not in a good state. It's not like he's a nobody, right? He's a public face for US to Canada relations to some degree. If he's not in the room itself, okay, fine, but he still has to hold some sort of standard, meaning that he has to make the administration look good. I don't know if what he said actually happened to begin with, but if he did, it's not really going to make him look too good in the eye here, and specifically people that already want the Trump administration to fail. Something like that is going to give them ammunition to use against him. But I don't know, man. That's a weird one. It really just tells you how bad things are, though. That's essentially what I'm getting at. It just tells you how bad things have truly become with the relationship between these countries. It's just a nightmare now.
He does, though, he is supposed to represent, Sharon, the president's views. And we know that the president, I found it so interesting that he's at this dinner with Prime Minister Carney, and in advance of it, he posts on social media, and I'm paraphrasing, but because people are asking, I'm not here to see Canada type of thing. And at the same time, we see these visuals of them sitting across the table from each other. What should the federal government be saying to Canadians during this moment in time?
Oh my God, there's so much. For starters, everyone behave.
Distill it down.
Maybe behave. We just live in this bizarre time where this is supposed to be acceptable. I think what the federal government has to do is kind of come in and show a little bit of confidence in trying to temper all the emotions and all the feelings and all these conversations. It's just, to me, it's bizarre that this entire encounter even happened, and it comes off as very much like the ambassador is the child of the president trying to get his attention, so he's acting in a way so that daddy can see what he's doing. It just comes off as completely immature, and I think Prime Minister Carney, and to his credit, has tried to do that. He was very calm and very tempered when he spoke to the press in the last few days, even after the kerfuffle with the ad. So I think the federal government has to kind of let everyone know they're on it, they're doing what they need to do, and all the rest of this is noise. But none of us should be surprised that this is where we're at. We've got a man down in the U.S. who is president, who is reacting based on purely on his vibes and emotions, and his representative here in Canada is I'm going to jump on that bandwagon too and start dropping around swear words and saying whatever. And Canadians are probably sitting here saying, who raised you guys?
There are, though, despite all of that, Sebastian, there are some political consequences here. And we've seen that play out this week with the ad itself, right? Insofar as the Prime Minister's office has wanted to seem as far away as possible from it, won't answer direct questions about whether the Prime Minister and his Chief of Staff saw it, as Ontario's Premier has said on multiple occasions they did. Today, he even said, Doug Ford, that he was with them when they saw it. There appears to, they're largely on the same page when it comes to this stuff, but there are some cracks beginning to show between Ontario and the feds, between BC and the feds. Is it time for a First Minister's meeting? There hasn't been one since the summer, I believe.
Vashi, another meeting. I'm sure that will solve everything. Here's the deal.
Your favorite thing.
Truly. Doug Ford wants to present himself as Captain Canada. That position is currently filled, or should be filled, by the Prime Minister, although he's not doing any of that communicating. And his office is not even saying anything about the ad, not even confirming what the Premier himself has said, that it was effectively approved by the Prime Minister himself. So left in this void by the Prime Minister, Premiers Ford, Eby, others are making up their own things and leading their own campaigns, which I don't think anyone can say is awfully helpful to the national objective of our country. So it's time for the national leader, Prime Minister Carney, to step up, get his act together, and start voicing what it is that we're doing on this file.
Literally just start doing the things he claimed he was going to do. That's really all anybody could ask for. I mean, I didn't vote for him because, to be quite honest with you, the Liberal Party has been a nightmare for over 10 years at this point. I don't know why anybody thought that Mark Carney was going to be a good choice going forward, but I digress, because for some reason here we are in a state of Stockholm syndrome here in Canada, where for some reason people just keep voting in the people that keep creating the problems. Weird time. Speaking of Mark Carney, much like his finances and his money, not in Canada. He's not in Canada. He's in Korea. So, there you go. She looks mad. Yeah, I know they can get a little rowdy on that CTV panel. It can be an interesting one from time to time. And that panel in particular, the conservative strategist said something quite funny about the left socialists and all of that stuff. All right, we're going to head right into the House of Commons.
Absolutely
Frank Caputo.
Nuts. Mr. Speaker, another aspect of clarification that we need to look at is in the reverse onus provision itself. I will be candid. Reverse onuses typically had their place, but we've heard from the Liberals so often about reverse onuses. Here's the issue with a reverse onus. When you're in one reverse onus, when I say when you, Mr. Speaker, not you when you're in a reverse onus, when an accused person's in a reverse onus, typically, not always, but from my experience, they're actually in 2, 3, 4, 5. You could have somebody that is subject to literally 10 reverse onuses, right? So we have to recognize that. The second issue with the reverse onus is oftentimes it will apply to indictable offenses only. So when the issue was changed in sentencing, that said just about every summary conviction offense could get 2 years less a day. When that changed, I believe the motivation behind that was to put more things in provincial court, which operates in a more streamlined manner. Okay, fine, no issue there. But what that means is Crown would proceed by indictment. For those watching, they don't know the difference. Felony versus misdemeanor. Summary versus indictment. And then we have hybrid offenses where the Crown can elect which is which. The whole point was so that the Crown would elect summary. So the reverse onus says if somebody has committed an indictable offense, then they're in a reverse onus. Well, what about somebody who has 80 convictions, but the Crown expects to seek 18 months jail, which is fairly serious jail? They elect to proceed summarily. That person, according to my information, in certain provinces, depending on the jurisdiction, will no longer be subject to the reverse onus provision. So we actually have a stymieing of legislative intent there. That's something I really, really hope that the Liberals deal with. The last thing missing from C-14 is Bailey's Law. Let's hope the Liberals don't heckle on this time. The reality is we need to pass legislation on intimate partner violence. We need to create a specific offense on intimate partner violence. We need to recognize the scourge and the plague that is intimate partner violence, and I exhort this House in the strongest language possible to pass Bill 225 with the urgency it deserves. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Questions and comments? Question commentaire. L'honorable député de Madawaska.
The honourable member for Madawaska-Restigouche. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We want to protect our communities, and our new Liberal government has taken a serious approach to fighting crime. We have a number of bills. We've invested in law enforcement, and now Bill C-14, which makes more than 80 changes to the criminal code to have more serious sentencing and stricter bail conditions for repeat offenders and those who commit violent crimes. The Canadian Association of Police Chiefs has called on all parties to rapidly pass this bill to improve public safety and improve trust in our justice system. Does my colleague agree with the Canadian Association of Chiefs of Police that we need to rapidly pass Bill C-14? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Member for Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola.
I see Liberals are clapping. I wonder where that type of urgency was when we had our Jail Not Bail Act. That bill, and I'm going to look right at my colleague, was endorsed by many of the same organizations that are endorsing this bill. So the Liberals are content to say, you need to pass this right away because these law enforcement bodies are telling us we need this. Where was that urgency from the Liberals when the MP from Oxford put forward his bill? When the Police Association said, we need this bill, where were the Liberals then? They voted against it. So it's quite hypocritical for them to say, oh, we need to pass this right away. And by the same token, well, we don't need to pass things that the police chiefs say unless it's Liberal legislation. We will scrutinize this legislation and do our best. Thank you.
The honourable member for the Brantford South, the Six Nations.
You got it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My colleague gave an excellent speech. He referenced Bailey McCourt, the tragic, preventable homicide that is still on the books in British Columbia. That was a result of a decision made by a judge to release after conviction pending sentence. Bill C-14 does not close that gap. What does Jail Not Bail Act say in reference to that type of process? Good question.
The honourable member for Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola.
Mr. Speaker, I appreciate the question from my colleague for Brant. When somebody is convicted, the presumption of innocence is gone. I have no problem talking about the Conservative position on bail, which is generally that bail has become too loose, and I believe that this bill actually could go much farther. But I also believe that when the presumption of innocence has been displaced, as my colleague just mentioned, we need to be acting in a different manner. The principle of innocent before proven guilty has been displaced. Now, the principle of restraint is still on the books in such situations. I understand and I recognize that Bill C-14 addresses the principle of restraint to a certain degree. It does attenuate it, but it doesn't remove it. I would go so far as to say that that principle of restraint needs to be reworked. It was common law, needs to be readdressed. Thank you.
Yeah, they can throw around new government all they want. It's definitely not a new government.
What we're studying right now, this question of Section 810 and minimal sentences, at committee we're studying this, but what we're hearing and what we've heard in previous studies, Mr. Speaker, when it comes to intimate partner violence is also the question of the Jordan decision. Earlier, a Conservative member spoke about Kate Alexander, who came to committee and talked about her experience as a victim and survivor of intimate partner violence, and she would like to see changes to the Jordan decision because right now there are criminals who are able to get out because of delays. So in crimes that are of a sexual nature or murder, how can we change the Jordan principle to better help victims?
Kamloops, Thompson-Nicola, very briefly because we have to.
I'm just going to be quiet because this is actually an important question and there is a lot of chatter in the House. To my friend's question about the Jordan Principle, an incredibly critical question. The Jordan Principle will delay charges because we are waiting far too long in order to institute charges because the clock starts ticking. So sexual offender who offends against a woman on day 1 may not be charged till day 365 so that we don't start the clock ticking. What happens in that day? That delay is critical to protecting people. I agree with my colleague that we must address Jordan in this House. It's time. Thank you.
There will be, well, basically that's the all the time for Q&A and comments. We'll go now to statements by members. Déclaration de député, l'honorable.
The Honourable Member for Trois-Rivières. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Today, I would like to honour the memory of Lise Bacon, an exceptional woman who had a profound impact on Quebec and who passed away yesterday at the age of 91. She was committed to defending Quebec culture and the French language. As the first woman to chair the Quebec Liberal Party and then become Deputy Prime Minister of Quebec, she paved the way for so many other women. And she sat at the National Assembly, and she chose to get involved to make a difference. Her journey is a source of inspiration. And in this Women's History Month, her passing reminds us how strong and visionary women like Lise Bacon have enabled others to dream bigger, to believe in their voice. And in my writing, her passion resonates in a very special way. And in my writing, her passing does resonate in a very special way. This is where she grew up. She spent her youth, developed the values that guided her through her life. I'd like to thank her for her commitment, her courage, and example she leaves to all those who wish to build a more just and humane Quebec.
The Honourable Member for Kitchener South Hespeler.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I represent Kitchener South Hespeler, home to Toyota Canada, the largest car plant in our great nation. I remember when their expansion was announced in 1994. Then as now, the plant was a source of great community pride. Year after year, they win awards for the quality of their product and their investment in their people. In 30 years, they have never laid off a full-time employee. They employ more than 8,000 of my friends and neighbors. American tariffs are putting their jobs at risk. That is 8,000 families wondering how they're going to pay their rent, get groceries, and afford Christmas gifts for their kids if the Liberal government doesn't achieve some sort of resolution. Canadians buy more cars than we make. If we would all commit to buying the cars that we make, we could protect those families. To my friends and neighbors at the Hespeler Toyota plant, please know that every day that I'm here, I'm fighting to protect your jobs. To all the Canadians fighting for our country in this ridiculous trade war, if you're buying a new vehicle, please consider one made in Canada, like the RAV4s assembled in Hespeler. And to the Liberal government, I ask, please do not sleep on this. Show some leadership, show some fight.
The Honourable Member for Davenport.
Mr. Speaker, our Prime Minister said last week threats from a more dangerous and divided world are unraveling the rules-based international order. If we don't act now, the pressures will only grow. Our government's commitment to Canadians is clear. Protect our sovereignty, defend our democracy, and stand strong with trusted allies. That's exactly what Canadian NATO parliamentarians did recently at the 71st NATO Parliamentary Assembly fall session in Slovenia. We joined our NATO partners to address the most urgent security threats of our time. We discussed how NATO parliamentarians need to continue to confront Russia's continued aggression head-on. We discussed and adopted 15 reports on cybersecurity, disinformation, and modern warfare, and we passed resolutions strengthening deterrence measures and ensuring a just and lasting peace for Ukraine. Make no mistake, we cannot allow might to make right. We will defend the rules-based international order. We will support Ukraine until it wins. Our democracy and our way of life depends on it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lakeland.
The last lost Liberal decade killed hundreds of thousands of Canadian energy jobs. More are coming. In just 6 months of this PM, Canadians lost over 18,000 jobs year over year in forestry, fishing, mining, quarrying, and oil and gas. So many young Canadians, especially young men, and Indigenous and visible minorities who work in natural resources at higher rates than any other sector, need hope and change more than ever before. Yet this PM says young Canadians must sacrifice more. But he is sacrificing sacrificing their futures. This jobs crisis is due to the Liberal anti-development agenda, and their Just Transition Bill C-50 that'll kill 170,000 jobs in oil and gas, 1.4 million trades jobs, 642,000 in transportation, 292,000 in ag, and 193,000 in manufacturing is still law. If the Liberals are honest, they must scrap all of their anti-development laws to attract investment, bring home jobs, and let Canada compete, or it's just another Liberal bait and switch.
The honourable member
Cheers to that.
for Marc-Aurèle Fortin. Mr. Speaker, October is Women's History Month in Canada. It's a time to underscore the wonderful performances of women who have contributed to build our stronger and fairer country. Women in leadership have shown courage and determination, have opened doors to future generations. But behind every advancement, we have daily heroes, mothers, educators, like my mother and my wife, my mother, who immigrated to Canada and who worked for the future of her children. Through these women, I'd like to underscore the work of all immigrant women who have helped to advance our cause.
The honourable member for Lethbridge.
Discounts belong in grocery stores, but not in courtrooms. Under the Liberal soft on crime policies, sexual offenders often get discount sentences, where they served one term for multiple crimes. This practice minimizes the gravity of their actions, and it denies victims the full measure of justice they deserve. In Toronto, a family doctor, for example, was convicted of 9 counts of sexual assault and 4 counts of sexual exploitation involving 3 different patients over time. Despite these grave crimes, he received concurrent sentencing, which equated to 3.5 years. His patients were supposed to feel safe and cared for, but instead they were violated and betrayed. While they will carry the trauma for life, their abuser will soon walk free. It's unthinkable. So I'm proud to address this issue with my private member's bill C-246, the Ending Sentence Reductions for Sexual Predators Act. This act will ensure every crime is punished in full and every victim receives the justice they deserve, because this place should always stand with victims.
The honourable member for Alfred Paulin. Mr. Speaker, today I'd like to pay tribute to Jacques Saint-Jean, a passionate man who spent 24 years of his life serving the community of Saint-François-en-Laval. He was larger than life. He was kind-hearted and always had an open door to help. I knew him when he was a city councillor, near his citizens and deeply committed to their well-being. He was a sports enthusiast, and he founded a hockey school and spent his energy helping young people. He transmitted essential values to them, respect and solidarity. He helped to found in 1969 the Cardiological Center in Montreal, and he has supported many local projects to promote Quebec culture. His unrelenting commitment has a lasting impact on his community. And rest in peace, my friend.
The honourable member for Calgary Centre.
Mr. Speaker, last week the Environment Minister said Canada must be an energy superpower, low carbon, low risk, and low cost. But this government has deliberately chosen to ignore a proven opportunity: waste heat to power. Every day, heat from industries like metals, chemicals, and cement escapes unused. Industry makes up over half of Canada's energy use, much of it lost as residual heat. That's zero-emission electricity, enough to power hundreds of thousands of homes. Other countries act. The U.S. gives a 30% tax credit, France up to 50%. Canada, nothing. The government decided to exclude waste heat to power in its clean technology incentives. This misguided mindset must be corrected now. Conservatives will do what this government won't: manage Canada's energy future with economic sense. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Laurenti-Labelle. Mr. Speaker, culture in the regions is fundamental to creation, dissemination, and to our artists. Today, I would like to highlight the career of Sonia Pichet as Executive Director of the Théâtre du Marais in Valmorin. She's now retired, and she can be proud of her legacy as we celebrate the theatre's 25th anniversary. During last month's celebrations, she reminded us, culture nourishes and does people good. We should no longer question the need for a theater or a dance company because it is this nourishment that is good for people's souls and for their health. And on this 30th of October, I would like to remind everyone that Quebec culture is at the heart of who we are as a nation. It reflects our identity and our uniqueness. Bravo, Sonia Pichet. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Surrey Newton.
Mr. Speaker, I'm honored to recognize NISA Foundation for its invaluable work supporting women and children in Surrey Newton and communities across Canada. Though its NISA Foundation program, led by Program Director Simon Nehal, the organization provides safe, culturally responsive housing, counseling, and wraparound supports to those fleeing violence, poverty, or homelessness. NISA Foundation's commitment not only regenerates dignity, but builds stronger, healthier families and communities. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to Simon Nehal and her dedicated team for their tireless efforts to create a brighter, more inclusive future for women and children across this country. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for Abbotsford South Langley.
Mr. Speaker, this elitist Prime Minister still has not shared an ounce of remorse for making remarks about students in Canada needing to sacrifice more for their future than they already do. A poll from earlier this month found that 9 in 10 Canadians are concerned about housing. Over half worry about paying their mortgage or rent, especially Canadians who are my age. More young Canadians are living paycheck to paycheck. Food banks are overwhelmed. Gas prices are soaring, and housing is out of reach. No one should sacrifice their basic needs. To those told by this Liberal government to lower their expectations or give up on their dreams, it doesn't have to be this way. You deserve opportunity, stability, and a fair shot at the Canadian dream. Conservatives will fight for affordable homes, good jobs, and a better future, holding this Liberal government to account every step of the way. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Pierre Fondallard.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today to highlight Women's History Month. Partout au Canada.
Across Canada, women are shaping our communities every day.
I think, and I have seen women of different generations contribute in so many different ways. Chacune choisit.
Everyone chooses a different path.
Challenging for men to fully understand the lived experiences of women. Mais nous devons.
But we have to show them respect, not only during this month, but every day and at every moment.
2 daughters, I want Canada to remain a country that supports and uplifts women and girls. Est un pays.
We need to be a country that defends the rights of women across the world. Thank you. The Honourable Member for Montmorency-Charlevoix. The Prime Minister is a champion of tax evasion. Last week, during the Ethics Committee meeting, Brookfield was shown to have the highest levels of tax evasion in Canada. The PM formerly headed this company. Over the past 15 years, the company has paid less than 5% tax annually in Canada, and over the past 5 years, there was tax evasion of $6.5 billion. That's $6.5 billion, Mr. Speaker, that the Canadians are being deprived of, while the Prime Minister tells them that families and young people have to make sacrifices. The Liberals like to congratulate themselves for these social programs that people have to use more and more, but this is unacceptable. Can the Prime Minister really understand the reality of those who are paying their taxes here in Canada?
Member for Markham-Stouffville.
Young Polonia's Leadership Summit, hosted in Ottawa by the Canadian-Polish Congress in collaboration with the Polish Embassy and the Canada-Poland Parliamentary Friendship Group. This summit brings together over 30 young Polish-Canadian leaders from across the country who represent the future of Polonia in Canada, a community whose contributions have enriched our country for generations. As chair of the Canada-Poland Parliamentary Friendship Group, and with my own Polish roots, I'm honored to be part of it because Poland is Canada's close ally, one of the fastest growing economies in the European Union, and our largest trading partner in Central and Eastern Europe. Our Prime Minister and Prime Minister Tusk affirmed in August our countries are committed to strengthening our strategic partnership. This summit supports that effort for the benefit of both Poles and Canadians now and for years to come. Dziękuję bardzo, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Portage-Lisgar.
The Prime Minister told us to judge him by prices at the grocery store, so let's do just that. Food inflation has blown past the Bank of Canada's target. Canadians are now paying over $800 more for food this year than last. And 39% of Canadians have experienced food insecurity in the past 12 months. Yet the Liberals are plowing ahead with measures that will make groceries even more expensive. From the industrial carbon tax on fertilizer and farm equipment, to the food packaging tax, to their inflationary spending, the story is the same. And just this month, representatives of the Liberal government were at an international meeting backing the UN's net zero shipping tax. Do they not see the obvious? If you tax the farmer who grows the food, those who package it, and the shippers who move it, the prices are going up. Seniors are struggling to stay afloat. Parents can't afford to put a nutritious meal on their kids' plates. It's clear that Canadians simply cannot afford another dime in Liberal food taxes. So when will they stop driving up grocery store prices? And finally, just give families a break at the checkout line?
The honourable member for Orleans. Mr. Speaker, it's an honour for me to rise today to pay tribute to Juliette Trudeau, who is retiring after 39 years of dedicated service to the Parliament. Originally from New Brunswick, Julie started her career as a legal secretary before establishing herself in Ottawa in '86. She joined the House of Commons that year and became a ministerial assistant, and she has been working at the Sergeant-at-Arms office, where she has occupied various positions until she retired as a liaison officer. Throughout her career, Juliette showed discretion, impartiality, and exceptional discernment. And as she says, she has a doctorate in service to members. Juliette has supported generations of parliamentarians with professionalism and rigor while she starts this new chapter of her life with her family and her grandson. We thank her sincerely for her dedication and her inspiring example. Congratulations, Juliette. We'll miss you.
All right, it looks like Poilievre's not here today. Looks like Andrew Scheer is going to be taking the charge. Here we go. Question period.
After 10 years of this Liberal government, elites and insiders have never had it so good. Meanwhile, this Prime Minister is telling young Canadians that they're going to have to sacrifice even more. And now we learn what all that sacrifice is going to. We learned today that these Liberals just paid out big bonuses to government officials. The Liberal Housing Agency, CMHC, whose main job is to make housing more affordable, paid out $30 million in executive bonuses at a rate of about $42,000 a pop. Each one of those could have been a down payment for a young Canadian. Why is the Prime Minister telling young Canadians that they're going to have to sacrifice so that he can pay off government insiders?
The Honourable Minister for Gender Equality, Women and Gender Equality, Tourism and Small Business.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Canadians made it clear in the last election they want more homes built, especially for young Canadians trying to buy their first home. And that's why this government is moving fast. We're cutting the GST for first-time home buyers up to $50,000 in tax relief and nearly $4 billion in savings, Mr. Speaker. This works on building on our first home savings account and the National Housing Strategy supporting purpose-built rentals for young Canadians. While Conservatives are voting down affordability measures, we're stepping up and taking care of young Canadians finally getting the keys to their first home. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Regina Capel.
Mr. Speaker, if flushing billions of tax dollars through big bureaucracies actually worked, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We've been hearing the same thing for 10 years from this Liberal government, and the results for young Canadians are terrible. The youth unemployment rate is now 15%. Young people are forced to move back into their parents' basement, and now the Prime Minister is telling them to sacrifice while he uses their tax dollars to pay off big bonuses for government officials. Do these Liberals not realize that young Canadians simply have nothing left to give?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
What young Canadians want is a great job, and that's why we're making the investments not only in the things that they need, like good jobs, housing, major projects, but also in the skills training that they need to pick up those jobs. You know, the Canadian Building Trades Union does a fantastic job training young apprentices, and that's why in our budget we will propose $75 million more to Canadian building trades unions and other unions around the country to train our youth who want to do the work, Mr. Speaker. They want to be part of this transformation.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
The Prime Minister told young Canadians to make sacrifices while Liberal insiders and elites never had it so good. Canadians are lining up at food banks while Liberals use tax dollars to hand out bonuses. CMHC execs got $30 million in bonuses for helping the Liberal housing crisis. EDC execs got $60 million in bonuses for Liberal mismanagement of COVID benefits. How many more sacrifices do young people need to make so the Prime Minister can keep lining the pockets of his insider buddies?
The Honourable Minister for Women and Gender Equality.
Mr. Speaker, this is coming from a member whose leader, when once responsible for this file, only built 6 homes in this country. Mr. Speaker, Conservatives claim to care about young people, yet every time a measure comes forward to actually support them, they vote against it. They voted against the National Housing Strategy, against the first-time home savings account, against expanding mortgage criteria, and now they won't even commit that GST cut that would save first-time home buyers $50,000. But don't worry, Mr. Speaker, Canadians can rely on our government and this side of the House to keep making life more affordable for Canadians. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Calgary East.
Housing was half the cost under our leader when he was the housing minister. That's right. And if all of those expensive programs work, 700,000 kids wouldn't be waiting in food bank lines every single month. Exactly. And rents have doubled. A PEI senior reported he's living out of his car because he can't afford rent. But this is the new normal in Liberal Canada. The only people eating and living good today are the Prime Minister and his elitist buddies. Why is he putting taxpayer-funded bonuses ahead of struggling Canadians?
The Honourable Minister of Jobs and Families.
Mr. Speaker, this morning I had the privilege of meeting with Minister Barb Ramsey of the Conservative government of Prince Edward Island. And you know what Minister Ramsey and I talked about? How pleased they were that we made the National School Food Program permanent. In fact, they've been able to drive down food hunger through National School Food Programs, and they are so happy to have a federal partner that's working with them so that kids can eat in dignity no matter who they are, no matter where they go to school.
The honourable member for Mégantic-L'Érable-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, the Liberals have been in power for 10 years now, and you know what? Nowadays, more than 600,000 Quebecers are going to food banks every month, while the Prime Minister's friends are filling their boots. Last week, he had the nerve to tell young people to make even more sacrifices, while BDC and CMHC execs are getting tens of millions in bonuses. Instead of telling our young people to make sacrifices, why doesn't the Prime Minister ask his friends to make some by cutting back on their compensation packages? Why doesn't he do that? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Mr. Speaker, if my colleague wants to talk about nerve, they have the nerve to say things like that here in the House, but then vote against the measures we take to help the young and the vulnerable. For example, dental care that's helped thousands of people in his own riding. We could also talk about the hundreds of thousands of young people who have access to the school food program, which his colleague called garbage, Mr. Speaker. That takes a lot of nerve. The honourable member for Mégantic-Les-Érables-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, they seem not to understand what ordinary people are going through. In Quebec, 600,000 people are now going to food banks. And at the same time, rents have doubled in all parts of Quebec, and the price of groceries continues to rise. Mr. Speaker, in the Journal de Montréal on the weekend, there was a front-page story about pregnant women cutting back on protein and vegetables. People don't have enough money to pay rent or buy groceries. Will the Prime Minister finally get the message and table an affordable budget so Quebec families can have an affordable life? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, what's absolutely astounding is that whenever they have an opportunity to vote on programs that would truly improve the cost of living for Quebecers and Canadians, they vote against it. When it's for children or for the dental care program, the school food program, which has been a huge success helping young people in Quebec. They talk a good talk, but every time it comes to a vote, they're missing in action. The honourable member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, 30 years ago, Quebecers came within a hair's breadth of creating their own country. Now the Yes camp is back in action. So to all Quebecers who were already part of it, let's roll up our sleeves and start again. To all Quebecers who, like me, were too young or not even born yet, or who changed their minds, or who are living in another country, now it's our turn. But it'll have to be done democratically. And the federal government is preventing that with its Clarity Act. So my question to the government, will they commit to respecting the will of Quebecers? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Culture and Identity. Quebecers and Canadians went to the polls, and the people of Quebec chose to elect twice as many Liberals from Quebec than members on the opposite benches. I knocked on hundreds of doors and spoke to hundreds of people, and you know what no one was asking for? Another referendum. And now today, we're tabling a budget that will help build Canada. That's what our constituents want from us. The honourable member for Saint-Jean. Mr. Speaker, the minister can still join the Yes camp once he's made his mind up. But in the meantime, it's not him, it's the citizens of Quebec who will decide on their future. And the Quebec nation deserves to be able to make all its own choices, like other peoples on this earth. If the minister is sure of Quebecers' attachment to Canada, he shouldn't be afraid of democracy. If he thinks he's sure to win a future referendum, why doesn't he repeal the Clarity Act? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, we're dealing with important challenges. And here on this side of the House, and the majority of Quebecers, they think we're stronger, united to meet the challenge, the current day's challenges. The Bloc can do what it wants to do, but we're focused on unity and on the major, and we believe that we're stronger together than divided. The Honourable Member for Lac-Saint-Jean.
But you can't unite anybody. You haven't united one single party yet.
Are a people like any other people, neither better nor worse. Maybe a little cooler, though. We deserve to be sovereign in our own home, like all peoples of the earth. We deserve to have our voice heard in the world, like all other peoples of the earth. And above all, we deserve to make all our democratic choices ourselves, like all other peoples on earth. And that's the principle that the Clarity Act violates. It is literally English Canada retaining a right of oversight over our democracy. Will the government repeal this colonialist legislation? The Honourable Minister. It's quite interesting that the member talks about all peoples at a time when The government of Quebec has just tabled legislation without even consulting the Indigenous peoples of Quebec. No consultation whatsoever. So that's not how you work together, Mr. Speaker. And on this side of the House, we believe that we're stronger together. We believe in reconciliation with First Nations. And we consult with First Nations on all our legislation. That's how you build a country.
Honorable député.
The honourable member for Charlebourg-Haut-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, while Canadians are going without food because of high prices, the Prime Minister's friends continue to get richer. When he created the new Defence Procurement Agency, the Prime Minister quickly turned to Doug Guzman to fill the position of CEO and gave him a $700,000 salary. After all, with Liberals, once a crony, always a crony. But now he's forgetting that he's spending taxpayers' money, not Bay Street's. Can this Prime Minister stop asking young people to make sacrifices so that his friends get rich? The Honourable Government House Leader. The only question on everyone's lips is, will the Conservatives steal Christmas from Canadians by triggering an election? We were just elected 6 months ago, and we got a mandate to build the strongest economy in the G7.
You were elected 6 months ago, and you have done absolutely nothing. You've done nothing.
Opportunities for young people from coast to coast to coast. Is that member going to steal Christmas, or will he support our young people by supporting our budget? The honourable member for Charlebourg-Haut-Saint-Charles. Mr. Speaker, the Government House Leader, he's unique. There's no one else like him. And he's supporting the Liberals' mismanagement for 10 years and telling Canadians that everything's going tickety-boo. Are they going to table an affordable budget so that Canadians can have an affordable life? That's the question on everyone's lips. The Honourable Government House Leader. That is the question. That is the question. We are going to table an affordable budget based on a strong economy, which will guarantee a future and housing for our young people. It will guarantee training for our young people. The only question that remains is, are they going to steal Christmas, or are they going to take this opportunity to build a strong country with the best economy in the G7?
Member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
This government, Liberal elites and insiders have never had it so good. But the Prime Minister told Canadians they need to sacrifice. He promised he would spend less, but instead he spends more. The latest example, the head of his new defense investment agency, who has never served, will draw a $700,000 salary. Meanwhile, rent has doubled, food banks are breaking records, and seniors are living in their cars. How much more do young Canadians have to sacrifice so this Prime Minister can hire his buddies?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know where the party ops has been for the last 4 months, but we've been traveling in the country listening to Canadians. On November 4th, we will table a generational budget, Mr. Speaker. We will spend less in government operations. We will invest more in Canada. We will invest more in Canadians, Mr. Speaker. We will invest in infrastructure, defense, national projects, housing. Mr. Speaker, on this side of the House, we believe in Canada. We will build our country and our economy into the strongest economy in the G7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member for Nanaimo, Ladysmith.
Tell that to the 700,000 kids lined up at food banks. Sacrifice for Liberal insiders. Canadians need a government that puts ordinary families first. While Canadians are sacrificing, the Prime Minister is handing out $700,000 salaries to his high-flying buddies like Halloween candy. When will this Prime Minister stop using taxpayer dollars to line his friends' pockets and finally give Canadians an affordable budget for an affordable life?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Labour.
Party apologize to all the kids who take benefit of the National School Food Program, Mr. Speaker. They called it garbage last week, and they claimed it doesn't feed a single child. On the contrary, it feeds 400,000 kids every year, helping them to learn, helping them to focus, be ready for a full day of school. This is about giving every child held in opportunity, no matter where they live, no matter where they earn. Mr. Speaker, I ask the members opposite, now that it's known, will they correct the record and apologize, or will they ruin Christmas with a Christmas?
The honourable member for Carlton Trail Eagle Creek.
After 10 years of this government, Liberal elites and insiders have never had it so good. The Prime Minister promised to cut high-priced consultants, but has already broken that promise. In 3 years, consultant spending soared more than 30%. This Prime Minister said he'd do things differently. According to him, differently is spending more than a record $26 billion on consultants. Another broken Liberal promise. Will the Prime Minister cut the costly consultants so Canadians can afford to eat?
Honourable Secretary. The Honourable Secretary of State for the Secretary of State. Yeah. The Honourable Secretary of State for Rural Development.
Mr. Speaker, I reject the premise of that question, Mr. Speaker, because we all know on this side of the House the Conservatives never gave a dang about the low-income people and never will, Mr. Speaker.
There you go.
So I would point again, a memo to the Conservatives. Canadians don't want a Christmas election, first of all. The second thing is I would ask the Leader of the Opposition.
The member would like it from the top. Go from the top.
I have no idea what's going on. The Conservatives are roasting this guy.
The Leader of the Opposition, what did he take for severance when the current member from Carleton defeated him at the polls? How much did he take, Mr. Speaker?
Excellent. Member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands.
Well, this Prime Minister and these Liberals are asking students to make sacrifices, and Canadians are lined up at food banks in record numbers. Their use of their well-connected friends and high-priced consultants is driving costs up, like the Benefits Modernization Program that the Auditor General says is ballooned by an additional $1.3 billion and could hit as high as $8 billion. Canadians can't afford this Liberal government when we see layoffs from coast to coast to coast that we've never seen before. Why is it that Canadians are being asked to make sacrifices while these Liberals continue to reward well-connected Liberal consultants?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this from the member who, when asked about his leader's comments on the RCMP, said, "I'm sorry, I have a lozenge in my mouth." So what I would like to ask that member is, will he take out his lozenge, go over and talk to the Leader of the Opposition, say, don't be a Grinch, don't cause a Christmas election, vote for this budget, and make Canada the best economy in the G7.
Honourable member for Leeds, Grenville, Thousand Islands, Rideau Lakes.
Well, I can tell you that a lot of Canadians feel sick after these Liberals continue to inflict their out-of-control spending on consultants. Last year alone, over $20 billion on well-connected Liberal insiders getting contracts. And this year, I think the number said that it's going to go as high as $25 billion. Why won't they put Canadians first? Instead of asking young people to make sacrifices, why won't they cut out their well-connected friends, put Canadians first, and deliver a budget that Canadians can actually afford?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the member's choice of cold remedy, we will be putting a budget before this House next week. This member will have an opportunity to vote for opportunities for young people, for UTIP grants to unions so that we can create skilled trade jobs, unionize skilled trade jobs on major projects in this country so that we can fund science, so that we can fund education, so that we can give a raise to our military personnel. Mr. Speaker, please vote for that budget. Don't cause
The honourable member for Jonquière.
Holy Christ, he is begging to pass that budget. Like, he might as well be getting down on his knees and just, please, like, holy shit, man.
To pay them 50% of any future countervailing duties. This is a no-cost measure since we know the American duties are illegal.
At this point, I wonder how many Canadians out of the entire country even want this budget to pass. It sounds like it's only the Liberal Party that's begging for it.
Appeared open to the idea, so it's up to her to turn this openness into action. Will she? The Honourable Minister of Canadian Culture and Identity. I'd like to thank my honourable colleague for that question. Last Friday, with my colleague from Les Pays d'en Haut, we met with the mayors in the Laurentide region and to talk about the $500 million available through BDC rather. And we are going to be there to support the industry and its workers through these tough times. The honourable member for Jonquière. Mr. Speaker, it seems the Liberals have been duped as well. It seems they believed their Prime Minister when he said there would be a deal with the Americans in July, and then that there would be one this fall. But there is no deal, and it's clear there is no savior in the Liberal Party. It's a rude awakening. It hurts, but they have to finally understand the urgency of protecting our economy. Our forestry industry is calling for support in the face of countervailing duties. They need a wage subsidy to protect jobs. When will the Liberals finally do something? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank my colleague. We fully agree with him that this is an unjustified situation. The tariffs are unwarranted, and we hope to work with all members, the 40 members from Quebec in particular, to help our softwood lumber industry. Earlier, the minister mentioned that there's $1.25 million in support, and we want to do even more for our lumber industry.
After 10 years of this government, Liberal friends and insiders have never had it so good. We just learned that the government's own housing agency just doled out over $3.6 million in bonuses to all but one of their 86 executives. That's about $43,000 per executive. Meanwhile, rents have doubled, mortgage payments have doubled, home prices have doubled. I'm just wondering if the minister can tell Canadians who cannot find a home how much more he requires them to sacrifice while he pays his executive bonuses.
Honourable Minister of Artificial Intelligence and Digital Innovation.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, the opposition keeps talking down our country. We are building it up. They talk down our housing as shacks in Soviet style. They talk down our police as despicable.
Because it is.
They talk down our school food program.
That's because it
as
is.
Garbage. Meanwhile, here's some good news, Mr. Speaker. The only thing going down are interest rates. Meanwhile, we're working hard building affordable housing, hiring 1,000 new RCMP officers, and our national food program is feeding hundreds. Why don't they join us in building up the country instead of tearing it down?
The honourable member for Parry Sound Muskoka.
Go and build up those
Food
shipping
bank visits have
containers.
skyrocketed to 2.2 million this year. Home prices are 54% higher today than they were in October 2015. The CTV reported this morning that a 76-year-old man in Prince Edward Island has been living in his car for the last 2 months because he cannot afford rent. The Prime Minister has told young Canadians that need to sacrifice. So the question is very simple. How much more sacrifice do you require from struggling Canadians to pay executive bonuses?
The Honourable Minister.
Thanks for the question, Mr. Speaker. We are doing everything to build this country up strong. The Conservatives are talking it down. They talk down our housing program. They vote against affordable housing. They vote against school food programs. They vote against hiring 1,000 RCMP officers. The hard work right now is to build this country up. We've got a budget coming November 4th. I hope they join us in doing the hard work and build this country up and avoid a Christmas election. Fight for this country.
The honourable member for Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of these Liberals, insiders have never had it so good. Canadians made 2.2 million food bank visits last year, including 700,000 children. And seniors are living in cars because rent has doubled. Meanwhile, this government gave $1 billion to buy boats from Beijing, offshoring Canadian steel, shipbuilding jobs, while executives at the Canadian Infrastructure Bank pocketed fat bonuses. They laugh all the way to the bank, while Canadian workers cry all the way to the food bank. When will this Prime Minister stop lining the pockets of insiders and start delivering an affordable life for Canadians?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, I want to thank my honourable friend, who's also the transport critic, and I will tell him that next week, November 4th, there's going to be a budget that solves the problem that he and I want solved, the problem of Drivers Inc. The Minister of Finance announced today that measures are going to be taken to make sure we restore labor standards and fairness to the trucking industry in this country. That's going to be in the budget. Will this member, I'm asking him, walk down the aisle, tell the Grinchy leader of the opposition, vote for the budget, don't ruin Christmas, build Canada strong, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Okanagan Lake West, South Kelowna.
I didn't expect the minister to ask me to walk down the aisle with him. Canadians made 2.2 million food bank visits last year, while seniors are sleeping in cars because rent has doubled. Yet this Liberal government sent $1 billion taxpayer dollars to buy boats from Beijing and handed out eye-popping bonuses at the Canadian Infrastructure Bank. Why is this Prime Minister using taxpayer dollars to reward insiders and offshoring Canadian jobs instead of helping Canadians afford the food and a roof over their heads?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Cheers to that.
Well, I want to once again thank my honourable friend and tell him I'll walk down any aisle that he wants to walk down if he'll just walk down a few steps and tell the Grinchy leader of the opposition, we don't want a Christmas election, we want to support a plan that gives raises to the military, that keeps that shipbuilding industry in Vancouver humming, building ships for the Coast Guard and the Canadian military. All of this is going to be in our affordable, great economy-building budget on November 4th. Will that member do the right thing? Tell the Leader of the Opposition, we don't want a Christmas election, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Lévis-Lotbinière. Mr. Speaker, while Canadians are struggling, it's the festival of bonuses for Liberal elites and insiders. Executives at the Business Development Bank of Canada got an average of $216,000 in bonuses. At Via Rail, it was $110,000 in bonuses. And at Export Development Canada, $143,000 in bonuses, Mr. Speaker. The Liberal Prime Minister is asking young people to make sacrifices, but not his buddies. Can this Prime Minister stop asking young Canadians to make sacrifices to enrich his buddies? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, you know, listen, we've already seen him do better than that, Mr. Speaker. In terms of his question, he wants to talk about sacrifices. It's a bit hypocritical on their side. They're ready to sacrifice the Canada Child Benefit. They're ready to sacrifice dental care. They're ready to sacrifice the National School Food Program. They'd be ready to sacrifice, Mr. Speaker, an increase in salary for our armed forces. Mr. Speaker, you know, the official opposition leader was ready to sacrifice one of his own MPs to get elected a couple of months ago, so we understand that they understand sacrifices over there.
West Vancouver, Sunshine Coast, Sea to Sky Country.
Mr. Speaker, money laundering, fraud, and financial crimes fuel organized crime, undermine confidence in our financial system, and contribute to serious challenges like the opioid crisis and rising housing costs in British Columbia. Our government has taken decisive action in recent years through major legislative reforms, but the sophistication of these crimes means we must remain vigilant and we must do more. Can the Secretary of State for the CRA and financial institutions update the House on how our government is strengthening enforcement to better detect and disrupt financial crime?
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions and...
Tough but fair. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleague.
Just a moment. I just want to warn some members in this corner that we have to keep the level of noise down so that we can hear the Secretary of State for Financial Institutions and the Canada Revenue Agency.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my colleague for this important question. Last week, our new Liberal government introduced that on November 4th, our very first budget will take decisive action to safeguard Canadians' financial information and life savings. All of us in this House...
So, look, I literally said this in the last video I uploaded. The Liberals are using the budget as an excuse to not actually do anything. They've had nearly 7 months now. Probably a little more than that. And they haven't done one thing. And now they're using the excuse of, well, we'll do this, we'll do that, we'll make the roads safer, we'll do whatever the hell you want, as long as the budget passes. They're literally putting everything on the line right now. Obviously, if it doesn't pass, we head to an election, so it makes sense, but they should have at least started to do things if they wanted people to have confidence in their party. But they're not doing anything. They're just using it as an excuse to push things back.
And it might go up to $217 million, 4 times more than what was expected. That's Liberal management. Will the Liberals finally understand that they need to stop wasting money and put in place measures so that people can have an affordable life? The Honourable Minister of Government Transformation. And I'll be happy to brief my colleague from the opposition so that he understands the nature of that contract, which was a competitive bid where the fees of $190 million over 10 years were included in the initial contract. We got good value for money. If he'd like to know more about that specific instance of procurement, I'd be happy to brief him on that. Otherwise, I would invite him to listen to what was said at committee recently, where the president of Shared Services Canada explained the situation. The Honourable Member for Louis Saint Laurent. Mr. Speaker, I would invite everybody to listen to what happened at committee about the CRA. It was very instructive on the completely irresponsible way that they have been managing the CRA for the last 10 years under this Liberal government. The result, Mr. Speaker, is what? Well, it means that there are 2 million Canadians who are going to food banks right now. The cost of housing has doubled since these people have been in power. And what has the Prime Minister asked for from young people? More sacrifices. When will the government understand that they need to stop wasting, that they need to put in place real measures so that all Canadians can have an affordable life? The Honourable Minister. Mr. Speaker, what we promised Canadians and young Canadians, and the reason why they're on that side of the House and we're over here, is we promised a serious plan for Canada's economy by making key investments to build Canada's economy while reducing the cost of living, while increasing the cost of purchasing power. That's what we did by lowering taxes for 22 million Canadians. That's what we're going to do on November 4th. I would invite the member to support us.
For Calgary Crowfoot.
Mr. Speaker, after 10 years of this government, Liberal elites and insiders have never had it so good. But the Prime Minister told young Canadians that they are the ones who need to sacrifice. So while young Canadians have given up on home ownership, the Auditor General reports that the CRA allowed a telephone system contract to go from $50 million to nearly $200 million while they still don't answer the phone. Will the government deliver an affordable budget that reins in sweetheart deals for insiders? Yes or no?
Yeah, you go.
The Honourable Minister of Emergency Management and Community Resilience.
Mr. Speaker, one thing is clear. Investing in housing is one of the most effective ways to tackle food insecurity. In the last 6 months, in my home riding of Edmonton Centre, I announced over $400 million in infrastructure investments and affordable housing. We're not asking young people to make sacrifices or Canadians to make sacrifices. We're asking the Conservatives to support our generational budget so we can keep building homes and make life affordable for Canadians.
That's not what he said in his speech. He literally said sacrifices.
After 10 years of this Liberal government, elites and insiders have never had it so good. Meanwhile, the Prime Minister's message to young Canadians is to continue to sacrifice. While Canadians are lining up at food banks, billions of their tax dollars keep going to consultants, $25 billion, in fact. Consultants that don't stick to budgets or, according to the Auditor General, don't even deliver results. So why doesn't this Prime Minister make his friends and insiders sacrifice instead of young Canadians?
The
Cheers.
Mr. Speaker, as I said, one of the biggest drivers of food insecurity is the cost of housing, and that's why we're focused on getting more homes built. That's how you make life affordable for Canadians, and we're starting to see progress. Projects are breaking ground, rents are starting to level off, and more families are moving into homes that they can afford. The Conservatives can criticize all they want, but if they really wanted to help families with affordability, they'd support our budget.
Member for Calgary Midnapore.
The numbers don't lie. Canadians have made a smashing 2.2 million food bank visits. Over 700,000 are children. 700,000, Mr. Speaker. Canadians are living in their cars. They are struggling. They can't afford food and they can't afford homes. These are facts. So why won't the Liberals admit that their programs aren't working and that they will choose their friends and insiders over Canadians every single time?
Honourable Minister of Jobs and Family.
You know, Mr. Speaker, I've noticed that the Conservatives have stopped quoting the report from Food Banks Canada. And you know why, Mr. Speaker? Because in that report, in fact, what Food Banks Canada said is that there are some promising signs from the federal government. Things like Canada disability payment for the very first time, something those guys voted against. The Canadian dental care plan that's bringing down costs of dental care for Canadians, Mr. Speaker, a national food program, and a national housing strategy that's focused on market rent housing. Mr. Speaker, that's what they're prepared to throw away.
The honourable member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister stands to make tens of millions of dollars in future bonus pay from 3 investment funds that he registered in Bermuda and the Cayman Islands. So a simple question, how many other investments does the Prime Minister have in offshore tax havens?
Good question.
The Honourable Government House Leader.
That member knows very well that all members in this House must abide by
here we go again.
most stringent ethics rules in the world. The Prime Minister has not only met but exceeded his requirements under those ethics guidelines, Mr. Speaker, and he will continue to do so.
The honourable member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, expert testimony reveals that the Prime Minister's company, Brookfield, is the biggest tax dodger in Canada, having avoided paying a staggering $6.5 billion in taxes in just 5 years. As chair of Brookfield, the Prime Minister registered 3 investment funds in Bermuda and the Cayman Islands in which he stands to make millions. So again, how much does the Prime Minister have in offshore tax havens?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, Canada lives under the most stringent and strong ethics guidelines for designated public office holders in the world. All members must comply with these requirements. These requirements are met very transparently, including the Prime Minister's, which is all, of course, available for the public to view. These ethics guidelines in Canada are strong, and we should be proud of that, Mr. Speaker.
For St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Liberals speak of a stringent and robust regime, yet the Prime Minister's company, Brookfield, registered multiple funds to a bike shop in Bermuda, all to avoid paying taxes in Canada, a bike shop. The Prime Minister is dodging a simple question, so I will ask it again. How much money does he have in offshore tax havens? Just a number, please.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Financial Institutions.
Mr. Speaker, on April 28th, Canadians had a choice between a leader with world and business experience versus a leader with no experience outside of this House. Canadians spoke loud and clear. They elected a leader that's going to build Canada, invest in Canada. They elected a leader that's going to make Canada the strongest economy in the G7.
Such a lame answer.
Member for St. Albert, Sturgeon River.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister refuses to come clean about his offshore tax havens. Meanwhile, he lectures young Canadians that they need to sacrifice more. Well, after 10 years of these Liberals, they can't afford food, they can't afford rent, they have nothing left to give. So when will the Prime Minister park his hypocrisy, come clean, and tell us how much cash he has stashed in offshore tax havens.
Cheers to that.
Honorable Secretary of State.
Mr. Speaker, while the party opposite is focused on their leader, we're focused on Canada. We're focused on building our economy, the strongest in the G7. Mr. Speaker.
I couldn't hear. So if the Honorable Secretary of State would like to start from the top, that would be ideal.
Just tell him to be honest, Mr. Speaker.
The party opposite has had a bad week. We understand that. They're focused on their leader and they're focused on a revolting caucus. But on this side of the House, we are focused on building Canada. We are focused on investing in Canada. On November 4th, we will come forth with a budget that will invest, build our economy into the strongest into the G7. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Terrebonne. Mr. Speaker, we have the industries, the innovators, and the workers ready to deliver the advanced technologies that our armed forces and our allies need, from aerospace to cyber systems. Can the Minister of Government Transformation please explain to the House how Buy Canadian will ensure that federal procurement supports the development of a strong Canadian defence and security industry, that it strengthens our supply chains and builds a more resilient and prosperous economy for all Canadians? The Honourable Minister. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for Terrebonne, and I'm very happy to say that to the Member for Terrebonne, happy to see her with us here in this House, and I thank her for her excellent question, Mr. Speaker. It's an excellent question because I know that there are a lot of businesses in her riding for whom it's important that we buy Canadian. What does it mean to buy Canadian? It means that we prioritize Canadian businesses, that we have requirements for Canadian content. It means helping SMEs so that they can participate in federal procurement. It means supporting Canadian businesses in aerospace, in naval construction, in AI, in manufacturing. And Mr. Speaker, we're going to go forward because we know that contracts are always better than handouts.
The facade has been exposed. The Prime Minister's claim of being a master negotiator is pure fiction. Every time the Prime Minister meets with foreign leaders, it's Canadian farmers who suffer the consequences. Now India has slapped a 30% tariffs on Canadian yellow peas. This is when farmers are already suffering from crippling tariffs from China on peas, canola, beef, seafood, pork, and other commodities. Now India has taken another step, and every time the Prime Minister travels, it's farmers who feel the pain. So why is it that Canadian farmers are the ones paying the price for the Prime Minister's vanity tour?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, numerous times I have reiterated in this House the importance of diversifying Canada's supply chains. Over the past number of months, I have spoken with my counterpart in Pakistan. Pakistan is one of the world's largest importers of canola. This morning, he confirmed to me that Pakistan will open its doors to Canadian canola. In fact, he confirmed to me that orders have already been placed for Canadian canola. This is great news for Canadian farmers, Mr. Speaker. On this side of the House, we will build Canada strong.
The Honourable Member for Foothills.
Thanks to the Liberal trade failures, now 80% of Canada's pea markets are facing tariffs. That is the fact. Every time this Prime Minister travels, it's Canadian farmers who are suffering the consequences. Let's look at the Liberal scoreboard. In China, 100% tariffs on Canadian peas and canola, 25% on pork and seafood, and Canadian beef has been blocked since 2021. United Kingdom does not take Canadian beef and pork. Meanwhile, imports from the United Kingdom in beef has skyrocketed. Now India slapped a 30% tariff on Canadian peas and 10% on lentils. Will the Prime Minister stop the photo ops and get tariff relief for Canadian farmers who are just trying to feed?
The Honourable Minister of Foreign Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, I'm going to reiterate that we are actively making sure that countries hear the interests of Canadian farmers, Canadian suppliers, Canadian producers. Not only is Pakistan opening its doors to Canadian canola, I raise potash and and canola, agriculture, and seafood in my recent trip to the Indo-Pacific, and the governments with whom I spoke assured me that we will continue to work together to build economic supply chains across the Indo-Pacific, which is why the Prime Minister is in the region right now.
The honourable member for Souris Moose Mountain.
Just making it work. Mr. Speaker, prairie farmers don't want handouts. They want a trade deal. China's unfair tariffs on Canadian canola have cost billions of dollars and punished our producers. The canola sector is bigger than Canada's steel, aluminum, and auto sectors combined. Yet this government, they treat it like an afterthought. Now the Prime Minister is in China meeting with President Xi. Will he finally reach a deal to lift these punishing tariffs or come back once again empty-handed, proving that when it comes to standing up for Canadian farmers, this Prime Minister is all talk and no trade?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food.
Canola farmers produce the best canola in the world. And we know China has imposed unfair tariffs on canola. We're working on it. The Prime Minister and the Minister of Agriculture is currently in Asia, diversified our trade, but also resolving dispute resolution. And Pakistan now opens the door to our canola. But in the meantime, Mr. Speaker, we will be there for our farmers with programs to support them during this difficult time, Mr. Speaker.
The honourable member for Mississauga Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Merci, Monsieur le Président. There are now less than 100 days until the 2026 Milano Cortina Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games. Our government recognizes that athlete health and well-being are foundational to performance, and we want all of Team Canada to know when you're representing the country we all love, we have your backs. Can my good friend and colleague, the Secretary of State for Sport, share how our government is supporting Team Canada Olympic and Paralympic athletes and their coaches? And while I have the opportunity, Mr. Speaker, let's go Blue Jays.
The Honourable Secretary of State for Sport.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. On Monday, I announced more than $3 million of an investment in mental health for athletes to support the Canadian Olympic and Paralympic institutes and networks across our country, supported by the Canadian Olympic Committee and the Paralympic Committee. And, Mr. Speaker, we're also supporting Game Plan, the Canadian National Team Total Wellness Program. These investments are critical because our government knows health and mental health and overall well-being are foundational to the performance and the success for our national team athletes in sport and in life. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are proud of our athletes and teams with the 2026 Winter Paralympic and Olympic Games coming up, fast approaching. Canada's new government is committed to supporting Team Canada.
Canada, go. The honourable member for Elgin, St. Thomas, London South.
Mr. Speaker, Canadian youth are struggling, but Liberal elites have never had it so good. Youth unemployment is at 15%. Young people are writing off the dream of home ownership as simply a fantasy. But the gravy train is chugging along for the Prime Minister's friends. 79% of Export Development Canada executives cashed in bonuses averaging $143,000 each. BDC executives got bonuses averaging $216,000 each. The Prime Minister's housing agency paid out over $30 million in bonuses. Will the Prime Minister ask his elite Liberal insider friends to make sacrifices instead of young Canadians?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Payroll day. Give some money to Brazil.
Little known fact, because it wasn't exactly a bestseller, but that man was Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the opposition's biographer. Now, that would mean that he knows some intimate secrets about the leader of the opposition. What I suggest is that he walk down a few stairs, talk to his boss, tell the leader of the opposition, that Grinchy guy, don't steal Christmas from our kids, don't cause a Christmas election, vote for this budget that's going to help Canadian youth and build the best economy in the G7.
The honourable member for Vancouver Kingsway.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister says he wants to make generational investments in nation-building projects. New Democrats agree. We also know that a healthy economy needs a healthy workforce. The NDP pioneered dental care and pharmacare because they deliver essential primary health care to Canadians. We believe every Canadian should have head-to-toe health care regardless of their ability to pay. Will the Liberals acknowledge that universal public health care is nation-building and reflect that principle in their budget next week?
The Honourable Minister of Health. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my colleague from the opposition for his question. You know, I am the Minister of Health, and my role is first and foremost to defend the Canada Health Act. So I can guarantee to my colleague that before and after the budget, certainly we will defend universal health care for Canadians. Thank you.
Member for Vancouver East.
Deep cuts are being planned for the arts and culture sector in the upcoming budget. Festival and events could lose $22.5 million, reducing their funding to 2007 levels. The Canada Arts Council could face a $50 million cut. Arts and culture not only feed our soul, they are a major economic driver, contributing $65 billion to Canada's GDP in 2024, generating $17 billion in federal and provincial tax revenue. Funding should be increased to support these made-in-Canada jobs. Will the Minister of Finance scrap these cuts?
Hear, hear.
L'honorable ministre.
The Honourable Minister of Canadian Identity and Culture.
For her question, in fact, between 2015 and 2024, this government has doubled the funding for the arts and culture sector in this country.
Oh, between 2015 and 2024, this government, he says. So it's not a new government, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. They admitted it.
I would like to draw the attention of members to the presence in the gallery of the
Fucking Stephen Guilbeault still thinks he's working for Trudeau.
Edward Island. John?
Order. Order. It being Thursday, I know members are eager to hear the Thursday question, so I just ask colleagues to please disperse quickly.
All right, Thursday question, and that'll be it.
Why would people be leaving the chamber for the Thursday question? I thought maybe we should ring the bells for a few minutes. Mr. Speaker, it being Thursday, I will rise and ask the traditional Thursday question. I know I speak for all Canadian baseball fans who have a lot on their minds this weekend other than what the government's legislation might be next week as the Blue Jays come home with the wind in their sails as they look to finish the job in Game 6 and 7. And I know I'm very excited for that and want to congratulate all the players, the teams, and the fans for an amazing playoff run so far. Mr. Speaker, I heard a lot of references to the Grinch in the government House Leader's answers today. I will point out that much like this Prime Minister is making food unaffordable for Canadians, so too the Grinch took the roast beast away from the Who's in Whoville. I know many Canadians can't afford Who's-its and What's-its after this government's inflationary deficits has priced families out of being able to buy toys for their children. So I hope that it's the government that will remove their Grinch costume and think about an affordable budget for an affordable life for Canadians. So I'd like to ask the government House Leader what the business for the rest of this week and next week will be for the House, and ask specifically, will he show some Christmas cheer and some Christmas charity and allow this House to have a take-note debate on any number of issues that are distressing to Canadians? For example, the official opposition has asked for a take-note debate on softwood lumber, as many Canadian families are heading into the Christmas season out of work from the lumber industry after punishing tariffs that this Prime Minister has failed to remove. Will he schedule a debate on the automotive sector after thousands of workers in Canada received pink slips because of this government's failure to get a deal on autos? Will he schedule a debate on agriculture as our Canadian producers now face not only tariffs from China, but now India, something that this Prime Minister promised to solve? He said he would get a deal and get a win for Canada, remove tariffs. There are actually more tariffs today on Canadian workers than there was when this Prime Minister took office. And finally, when this budget is introduced on Tuesday, will they continue to ask Canadians to sacrifice even more so they can line the pockets of their Liberal friends? Or will he bring in an affordable budget that allows Canadians to have an affordable life?
Hear, hear. The Honourable Government House Leader.
Well, Mr. Speaker, there was a lot there. There was kind of like a Trey, you savage slider. And we'll try not to swing or flail too much at all of those hard pitches from the opposition House Leader, but I thank him for my question. next week Canadians will have a choice between, yes, an affordable budget for an affordable life that will build Canada strong and build the biggest and best economy in the G7. That's one choice they have. The second choice is a Christmas election. A Christmas election that no one wants, that follows 6 months from the last election, and that would deprive Canadians of benefiting from the budgetary plan that the government will be presenting next week. The opposition, what they serve up, Mr. Speaker, green eggs and ham. On this side of the House, a plan to build Canada strong and the strongest economy in the G7. But in the short term, cet après-midi, nous allons...
This afternoon, we will continue second reading debate on Bill C-14, our Bail Reform Act. Tomorrow, we will resume debate at report stage on Bill C-3, an act to amend the Citizenship Act.
Back to debate on C-14, the Bail and Sentencing Reform Act, and in the afternoon we'll turn to Bill C-4, major tax cuts for all tax-paying Canadians, contained in the affordability legislation at report stage and third reading. And next Tuesday we'll resume debate at second reading of Bill C-13, an act to implement the protocol on the accession of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland to the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnership. In the afternoon, big day, Mr. Speaker. At 4 p.m., the Minister of Finance and National Revenue will deliver the budget speech, and I would also like to inform all honourable colleagues that Wednesday and Thursday, as we approach that fateful day where the opposition gets to decide whether or not they deprive Canadians of their Christmas, Wednesday and Thursday will be days reserved for debate on that budget, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
I wish to inform the House that the volume of earpieces will now be reset.
All right. We got a point of order.
Point of order. The Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes Verchères. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. During question period on October 6th, I asked a question to the Minister of Employment and Labour about ink drivers. In their response, the Minister mentioned that her department had a special inspection team that had already carried out hundreds of inspections in the trucking sector. Today, we learned, via a correction made from her office, that she had done only 1,000 inspections instead of the 100,000 that she had said. Could the Hansard be corrected? Because that is a difference of 99,000 inspections.
That's a lot. That's quite a few.
I would like to thank the Honourable Member for Pierre Boucher, Les Patriotes Verchères. It will not be possible to rewrite the Hansard. That said, the Minister's intervention has been noted in the Hansard correctly.
All right, that's going to do it for today's live stream. Just saw both House leaders there talking to each other. Scheer went over to McKinnon. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's live stream. I will be live on Monday for question period. That's it. Take it easy, everybody. Have a great rest of your day or night, depending on where you were from.
I am pleased to speak today about